All right, how should you position your arm in the backswing when you're working with a kettlebell? There are various ways that you can do this, and each have certain ramifications. I have seen people be very successful using different versions, but you need to know the pros and cons. So, for example, sometimes people will advocate for turning your hand back, and they might be great using that in a snatch and with their swings, but there are ramifications of that. One thing that you can do is you can hold your kettlebell like this and then start to turn, and you're going to start to feel, and what you feel might be slightly different than what your friend feels, but you might feel pec get tight, you may start to feel your shoulder start to fire, you may feel a little bit tension in your bicep. Depends on how we're built, depends on where we're tight, a lot of different variables. But basically, with this turned thumb towards the bum position, you are starting to turn on muscles. And if you're working on something like a high volume snatch, this may not be what you want to do because you're trying to conserve energy and you're trying to be efficient. Turning on something that doesn't need to be turned on is wasteful. Doesn't mean it's wrong, it just means you have to be aware of it. Some people are very successful with this, but when I teach and I'm giving a kettlebell certification, I have to show people the ramifications of the different movements, the different positions, and also try to think of things that are going to help most of the people most of the time. Now, there is also with this thumb back version another issue, and this issue is very, very real for most people. When you're in the back position, let's say I have that thumb back. As I'm coming out, I would like to keep contact between my arm and my trunk as long as possible, but people tend to bend their elbow a little bit early before they get to the acceleration pull. That bend in the elbow, again, is not going to make a very clean transfer of force. If I have my hand in neutral, so my knuckles are like this, and I'm in the back swing here. As I start to come up and I start to shift my weight, shift, you'll notice I really keep that contact a lot longer. Then I get to the acceleration pull, I can do my shoulder shrug. It seems like it's just a split second. It is just a split second, but it really does matter when you're working for volume and we're talking about that mechanical efficiency. Having the thumb back and bending here very early, that can be an issue and it can be a leakage point for a lot of people. So, thumb towards the bum, these are some of the possible ramifications of that. Neutral is what I teach because it will help most of the people most of the time. So keeping your knuckles like that, your wrist is going towards the zipper, your zipper or your hips are the source of power. I want my wrist there, I want the kettlebell to be there, and then as I start to shift weight and come up, I keep contact as long as possible, and I'm not needlessly turning on muscles that I don't need to. One thing that can be said also for the thumb up, sometimes the thumb up can be useful. A lot of people like it when they're holding two kettlebells and they're cleaning it. Sometimes it's a bit more of a shallow clean, but with two large bells, this works well. If you or your client has maybe a larger stomach, maybe this is not great position because you're getting a bit of hyperextension on the elbow. Each one of these positions has certain ramifications. So my advice to you is, if you want, play around with them. But if you're a beginner and you're just starting out, please start out with the neutral position. Try that for a while, get comfortable with that, and see if it will help. I typically believe that that position helps most of the people most of the time to accomplish their goals. I hope this helped. If you would like to find out more, don't forget, go check out agatsu.com and also make sure that you're getting our newsletter.